Imagine this. The cameras are rolling, cast members are whispering, and the crew is standing frozen in place. Then, out of nowhere, something shocking happens. A sharp, loud slap cuts through the silence. It wasn't a scene. It wasn't acting. It was real. Kimmi raised her hand and slapped Maurice straight across the face. No warning. No build-up. Just years of pain and bottled-up emotion exploding in a single moment. Everyone stood there, speechless. Maurice blinked in disbelief, clearly caught off guard. But let's go back for a second, because that slap wasn't just a reaction, it was a message. It was the final straw after a long stretch of Kimmi holding everything together while feeling like her world was falling apart. If you've been following Love and Marriage, Huntsville, you know Kimmi has never been the dramatic one. She's the peacemaker. The one who stays calm, who avoids the chaos, who tries to keep things civil even when others bring the drama. But something in her changed over time. Fans began to notice her smile didn't seem genuine anymore. Her voice got softer, like she was tired. And when she did speak, her words felt heavier, like she was carrying more than she let on. The truth? Kimmi was tired. Not just from being on TV. Not just from the usual cast tension. She was physically and emotionally drained from battling cancer, from trying to hold her marriage together, and from doing it all while feeling alone. The one person she needed to lean on the most, her husband, Maurice, wasn't really there. Maurice, at least on camera, seemed like the perfect husband, calm, supportive, steady. But behind the scenes, the reality didn't match the image. People close to the show say he had a habit of saying the right things publicly but being emotionally distant in private. Kimmi felt it, his dismissive attitude, his lack of true concern, brushing off her pain like it was an overreaction. But what really broke her wasn't just neglect. It was betrayal, not the obvious kind with receipts and scandal, but something more subtle and, in some ways, more painful. Kimmi found out that while she was going through chemo, Maurice had been emotionally reconnecting with a woman from his past. The messages weren't sexual, but they were deeply personal. Too familiar. He wasn't just venting, he was escaping. And he was doing it while his wife was fighting for her life. Imagine being bald, exhausted from treatment, and reading messages where your husband tells another woman that he misses the peace she brought him. That he wonders what life might have been like if they had tried again. Kimmi didn't lose it right away. She tried to talk to him in private first, hoping for honesty. But instead of being real with her, Maurice denied it. Said it was innocent. Just friendly support. That was the moment the fuse was lit. Later, on set, the crew was setting up for what was supposed to be a vulnerable conversation between the two. But when Maurice slipped back into his usual calm, controlled persona and then had the audacity to accuse Kimmi of being dramatic, she couldn't take it anymore. That's when she slapped him. It wasn't out of rage. It wasn't for the cameras. It was heartbreak. It was disappointment. It was her finally saying, enough. The slap wasn't just loud, it echoed through the cast. Maurice, usually the one in control, lost everything in that instant. His calm, his reputation, maybe even his marriage. And the fallout started immediately. Letitia, Maurice's sister-in-law, jumped in right away, furious. Not at Maurice, but at Kimmi. She stormed into the scene, yelling about boundaries, saying Kimmi had gone too far, that she'd embarrassed the family. It was wild because Letitia hadn't shown that kind of energy when Kimmi was battling cancer. But now that Maurice's image was on the line, she was front and center. A lot of people on set were side-eyeing her. It wasn't just about loyalty to family, it felt like she was more concerned with appearances than truth. She wanted to protect the Scott name, even if it meant dismissing what Kimmi had been through. Then there was Marceau, Maurice's brother. He kept quiet. Calm. Pulled Maurice aside like a publicist prepping a client after a scandal. Told him to stay quiet, breathe, let it blow over. But his tone wasn't comforting, it was calculating. No, are you okay? Just, we've got to fix this. Damage control. And while everyone else was reacting loudly or planning their next PR move, one cast member did something very different. Melody walked quietly over to where Kimmi had gone after the slap, sat down beside her, and said nothing. No speeches. No cameras. Just support. Real support. Melody had been through it herself: public heartbreak, betrayal, the pressure to stay strong when your whole life feels like it's crumbling. She didn't need to say anything. Sometimes just being there is enough. Meanwhile, chaos erupted behind the scenes. Executives were panicking. Emails were flying. PR teams, legal teams, even Oprah's people were getting involved. Because this wasn't just another reality TV scandal, it was real. A woman fighting cancer, betrayed by her husband, breaking down on camera. It was raw and messy and too real for the network's comfort. There were whispers about pausing production. Some cast members were told to stay home for a bit. Maurice was quietly told not to come back to set for now, not suspended, but benched while they figured things out. Behind closed doors, producers started brainstorming. A new direction. Maybe even a spin-off centered on Kimmi, not about marriage or mess, but about healing. About survival. About her. Fans were rallying around her like never before. Twitter threads, YouTube videos, Reddit discussions. It wasn't just drama. It felt personal. And then Kimmi posted a photo. No wig. No makeup. Just her. Bald. Beautiful. Peaceful. The caption read, "Peace is expensive, but worth it." No hashtags. No drama. Just truth. Maurice, on the other hand, stayed silent. No interviews. No apologies. And then the leaked texts surfaced, messages where he told that other woman he still thought about her, that she always knew how to calm him. It was clear he hadn't just been venting, he was leaning on someone else while his wife was sick. The internet exploded. "You emotionally cheated on a cancer survivor," one viral tweet read. "That's not just selfish, it's cruel." The term emotional infidelity started trending. People weren't just disappointed, they were furious. Even advertisers began pressuring the network to take action. Not necessarily to fire Maurice, but to do something. Cut his screen time. Rework the episodes. Consider phasing him out. And Kimmi? She didn't lash out. She didn't cry on camera or give a tell-all interview. She stayed quiet. She focused on herself. On healing. She began sharing little moments: her work, her family, her recovery. Each post was met with waves of love and support. Not just from fans, but from people who had lived through similar pain. Because this wasn't just about one woman's heartbreak. It was about how women are expected to carry everything, be strong, be supportive, hold everyone up even when they're falling apart. And Kimmi? She finally let it break, not to fall, but to rebuild. Whether she stays on the show or moves into a new chapter, one thing is certain: Kimmi isn't protecting anyone's peace but her own. And for the first time in a long time, she's finally free. And that's where we are now. No official statements, no public apologies, just a silence that says more than any press release ever could. But in that silence, something powerful happened. Kimmi stopped shrinking to protect everyone else's comfort and finally chose herself. What started as a single slap has turned into a much bigger conversation about emotional labor, about what it means to be strong, and about how even the most composed, graceful women can only carry so much before they break. And honestly, sometimes breaking is the beginning of healing. Kimmi's journey reminds us that strength isn't about staying silent or holding it all in. Real strength is knowing when enough is enough. It's choosing your peace, even if it costs you everything. And while Maurice might still be silent, the world isn't. Fans, survivors, and women everywhere are standing behind Kimmi, not because she's perfect, but because she's real. And in a world where image is everything, being real is the most powerful thing you can be. So whether Kimmi stays on the show, gets her own spin-off, or walks away from it all, one thing's for sure: she's not going back to the woman who kept quiet to keep the peace. She's not looking back, and neither should we. Thanks for watching. If this story moved you, drop a comment, share your thoughts, and don't forget to like and subscribe. More real conversations are coming because healing, truth, and accountability matter. Until next time, take care of yourself and protect your peace. What started as a single slap has turned into a much bigger conversation about emotional labor, about what it means to be strong, and about how even the most composed, graceful women can only carry so much before they break. And honestly, sometimes breaking is the beginning of healing. Kimmi's journey reminds us that strength isn't about staying silent or holding it all in. Real strength is knowing when enough is enough. It's choosing your peace, even if it costs you everything. And while Maurice might still be silent, the world isn't. Fans, survivors, and women everywhere are standing behind Kimmi not because she's perfect, but because she's real. And in a world where image is everything, being real is the most powerful thing you can be. So whether Kimmi stays on the show, gets her own spin-off, or walks away from it all, one thing's for sure, she's not going back to the woman who kept quiet to keep the peace. She's not looking back, and neither should we. Thanks for watching. If this story moved you, drop a comment, share your thoughts, and don't forget to like and subscribe. More real conversations are coming because healing, truth, and accountability matter. Until next time, take care of yourself and protect your peace.